Hi, beautiful. We're reading in A Course in Miracles. We're reading the text, chapter 14. We are in section 3, the decision for guiltlessness, paragraph 16. Say to the Holy Spirit only, decide for me, and it is done. For his decisions are reflections of what God knows about you. And in this light, error of any kind becomes impossible. Why would you struggle so frantically to anticipate all you cannot know? When all knowledge lies behind every decision the Holy Spirit makes for you. Learn of his wisdom and his love, and teach his answer to everyone who struggles in the dark. For you decide for them and for yourself. How gracious it is to decide all things through him whose equal love is given equally to all alike. He leaves you no one outside you, and so he gives you what is yours because your Father would have you share it with him. In everything be led by him and do not reconsider. Trust him to answer quickly, surely, and with love for everyone who will be touched in any way by the decision, and everyone will be. Would you take unto yourself the sole responsibility for deciding what can bring only good to everyone? Would you know this? Let's pause here and say, what A Course in Miracles is saying is if we hand it over to Spirit and say, decide for me, then it'll be in the best and highest good for everyone. And then it asks this very poignant question of, like, would you even want that responsibility? Like, would you even know what was good for everyone? Like, no, of course not. Of course, the small self does not know what would be good for everyone. It doesn't even know what would be good for the self in most cases, because we don't have all knowledge. And the Holy Spirit does. You taught yourself the most unnatural habit of not communicating with your Creator, yet you remain in close communication with him and with everything that is within him as it is within yourself. Unlearn isolation through his loving guidance and learn of all the happy communication that you have thrown away but could not lose. I'll pause here and say, to me that indicates that we know on some level. We know. Because we are in communion with the Father. But we have to unlearn this isolation, that rejection of what we know deep down. But we're listening to the fearful voices. We're listening to the indoctrination. We're not listening to our true authentic self that does know, that is still connected to Source. Whenever you are in doubt what you should do, think of his presence in you and tell yourself this and only this. He leadeth me and knows the way which I know not, yet he will never keep from me what he would have me learn. And so I trust him to communicate to me all that he knows for me. So beautiful. There have been so many times in my life where I've gotten clear guidance about what to do, and my ego did not want me to listen. And my ego had a long rap sheet of why it was a bad idea and it wasn't going to work. And it's a dog-eat-dog world, and you got to look out for numero uno. And the guidance I get from Spirit is usually quiet, gentle, kind. It speaks of patience. It speaks of compassion and understanding for the self and others, of non-judgment. And sometimes I get guidance to do something decisive that some people might even call bold, but there's a peace behind it. There's a gentle knowing behind it. And the motivation isn't fear or grievances. The motivation is love and peace. Say to the Holy Spirit only, decide for me. Wow, there's so much wisdom in this, and the peace that we gain when we actually apply that principle. When we actually let go of control and let love lead the way forward and listen to that inner guide. And we don't have to fix, force, or frantically try to control or change people, places, and circumstances. We simply listen to the inner guidance. The ego doesn't know the way. The ego has a tiny little data set, and it's insane. If we listen to the ego, that's why we have war. Why would you struggle so frantically to anticipate all you cannot know? When all knowledge lies behind every decision the Holy Spirit makes for you. Such a good question. We can apply this in our individual lives, with our loved ones, with the choices that we need to make. Decide for me. Wow. That takes humility and wisdom and true strength and sanity. Because a sane person would know that the wise decision would be to let the Holy Spirit that has all knowledge behind it to make the final call. And I'll just say, in my own personal life, the times that I listen to my guidance, sometimes it doesn't appear to work out in the short term. I'll be like, what? I listened to you, and then they still don't like me. Or I listened to you, and they still got mad at me. Spirit plays the long game. And it's not trying to please or placate. It can be very powerful. But when I do listen, the end result is harmony. At a bare minimum, harmony within, even if it doesn't change anything out there. Because the Holy Spirit will never tell you to betray your true authentic self and your values and your truth. It will never tell you to go against what you know is right, what you know in your heart is right. I'm not saying what you know in your head or your ego or your damaged psyche, but in your heart that you know is right. The Holy Spirit will never have you betray that. And it can be a journey to learn how to differentiate if you're not sure if it's the Holy Spirit speaking. For me, I have found that the ego cannot mimic peace. So if the guidance comes with a deep feeling of peace, I know that's coming from Spirit. If it's coming from a sense of franticness or fear, or I've got to do this, or I've got to do that, or oh no, and I'm running out of time, that's ego. Spirit doesn't operate in fear, ever. Thank you so much for being here. You're so beautiful. Your love and your kindness makes a bigger difference than you probably realize. I'm so grateful for you, showing up day after day, being you. I love that the Course teaches us how to let things be easy. Sometimes the hardest thing we'll ever do is just let it be easy. The ego wants to complicate things. So I encourage us all, myself included, this week, moving forward, may we say to the Holy Spirit, decide for me. I love you. See you soon.